All right, good afternoon, everybody. As she mentioned, this is the last session before we break to eat, and we hope to leave you with a riveting sort of meta question for discussion over lunch. What is a place? So my name is Brian. I lead product management at a data as a service company called SafeGraph, and I'm joined by Aaron Martin, who heads up data innovation at Clear Channel. And in the short time today that we have, we're going to walk through some of the industry progressions that we've seen, particularly in the advertising industry over the past decade or so, and how that's forced the users of places data, like Aaron and his team, to constantly consider what is a place, and then force and push the vendors of places data to consider what is a place, and really think about how we continue to build out places that meets the needs of the industry while obeying some of the quality standards that we set out when we first entered the market as we continue to scale that coverage. So with that, I'll let Aaron take it over.
So, hi, I'm Aaron. I'm Data Innovation Manager at Clear Channel. Like Ed, the last speaker, I also have a confession. He sort of stole my line a little bit. So at Clear Channel, when I'm in the office, I'm the data expert, I'm the map guy. In this room, I'm the imposter, right? So I don't have a data background, I don't have a technical background, I have a commercial background, I sell posters. My role is, yeah, you laugh, it's my life. So what I largely do is use data to sell more posters. And that's important to understand given the kind of context of the slides that I'm going to show. So Clear Channel is an out-of-home business. We have ad panels all over the world. I'm responsible for UK and Europe, and there we have just under 400,000 ad panels across 16 European markets. We are in loads of different environments. We take loads of different forms. We've got traditional billboards, paper and paste. We've got digital screens. We're on roadside environments, so things like billboards and street furniture. We are in shopping malls and supermarkets, in airports, other transit hubs, loads and loads of different environments. The single most important thing that I would like you to understand about out-of-home is that it's a location-based medium. So location is the single most important thing to us and our customers, and that is beyond even form. And that sounds a bit odd coming from an advertising company where you think form is everything, but actually location is key in out-of-home. If the location of a campaign is wrong, the campaign doesn't work. An example, a local independent coffee shop, they want one poster on a bit of street furniture on their high street. We're meant to post that campaign 50 metres from the outlet. It's essentially an extension of their shop front. If we post that 50 miles away, it will deliver an audience, but no one is going to travel 50 miles to get a cup of coffee, no matter how good that coffee is. So location is absolutely key to what we do. The title of this talk is What is a Place? Bryan is going to largely answer that question, but what I would like to do over the next few slides is just really talk to you through where my journey has been with out-of-home Clear Channel over the last 20 years, and how our understanding of data and our requirements for location data have changed in that time. So, location is key. I've mentioned that probably a few times. But 20 years ago, and probably even 10 years ago or less, postcodes were everything to us. We located our inventory, so our ad panels using postcodes, and we did all of our targeting using postcodes. So targeting typically in out-of-home takes the form of looking for ad panels that are in proximity to POIs. Now, the obvious limitation of using a postcode to do that is that it is an area, it's not a point. So precision is compromised and there are limitations in how precise we can be in our targeting. The other issue that we had with our POI data back then was that it was updated annually. And that brings massive challenges for us, because we even knew back then that retailers were opening and closing all the time. They were moving location on a daily basis, and yet getting data annually and eventually quarterly was not really a reflection of the reality in the physical world. So there is a clear conflict here. Location is key to our business, and yet we don't seem to be taking location very seriously at all. And the question really is, why is that? Well, as much as I keep saying we're a location-based business, we weren't and probably still aren't location experts, certainly not in the context of this room. But we did understand that location was important, and we understood that the context of the location was also important. And I guess the bit that we didn't think was important was either accuracy or precision in our location data, which sounds crazy now, but at the time we just didn't give that any thought. So, what changed? Well, the big thing that changed was Google. All of a sudden, with things like Google Maps in people's pockets, the masses had access to this kind of widespread, accessible, pinpoint geospatial data. And because that was given to everyone, all of a sudden our customers became more demanding of the way that we interpreted place and location. And to be honest, Clear Channel as a business we became more demanding of ourselves in how we interpret and use that data. So imagine a consumer can all of a sudden see where all of their favourite restaurants are, where their favourite retail outlets are, even in an unfamiliar town. Imagine what we can do with out of home, our location-based media. The other thing that came along with this kind of pinpoint accurate data was also movement data via things like SDK and telco. The guys from BT explained that really, really well, and it's something that we're very interested in at Clear Channel. So it was really this combination of very, very precise and accurate POI data and this movement data that allowed us to develop our radar tool, powered by Carto, and no small coincidence. And what allowed that, this is flashing red already. I'm sorry, I don't know if you're going to get a shot of this. I'll speed it up a bit. It was really a game changer being able to combine these two types of data, because we could move from just looking at proximity to looking at actual behavioural data. The challenge with building a tool like this is we need really sophisticated location data, and that's where the relationship with SafeGraph began. So, with the level of granularity that we were looking at, customers and our advertisers started asking questions like, what makes this place interesting? So the scope expanded just beyond retailers and into pretty much everything. We had to look at things like proximity and geospatial measurement. So an example, someone might travel 30 minutes to go and see a luxury car showroom. They're not going to make that same journey to go to a McDonald's, certainly not in the UK. We'd have to look at what makes places interesting, so understanding where places like schools and places of worship are. So we can block sensitive advertising, thinking things like gambling and alcohol can't be close to a school. So we need super accurate and precise data to do that. We also need to have trust in the way that we categorise that data. It's paramount to what we do. So the fact that SafeGraph has been able to provide that data with the store outline, this is the really important bit, rather than just a point, it was the store outline. All of a sudden we could look at audiences actually visiting a place rather than just being in the vicinity of it. Combine that with the fact that we were getting monthly updates rather than annual updates, and it was just a complete game changer for us. All of a sudden we were able to transform the way we use data and answer the question, what is interesting about this place beyond just its immediate environment? And that changed the way that we could pitch to our advertisers and generate new business. I'm going to hand over to Bryan at that point to talk about the data.
Cool. So how does a places data vendor like SafeGraph take some of these progressions and requirements and turn it into a full scope product while maintaining quality? So just a real brief summary of what we're experts at. There's really two categories that are the muscles behind SafeGraph. So we're very good at research. If there's interest in understanding any sort of physical place across the world, we will go out and we will find digital online signal from a source that we trust updates with some relative frequency, and we'll pull down that raw information and then run it through the magic and the sophistication, if you will, of our geospatial pipeline to clean up the address, apply geocodes, assign the right category to the category information to the POI, and then fit it to a standardized schema for consumption by our customers. So this used to be actually quite easy for us to do when we first entered the market about 5 odd years ago. We were only focused in just the US. We had roughly 3 million places, and it was all centered around major consumer-focused brands, so like a major cafe or a major restaurant chain, a major grocery store. But as we've continued to scale at the behest of some of the requirements of our customers, both in the set of categories that we cover, but also geographically, we quickly learned that with more data comes many, many more problems. And we needed to set some internal benchmarks to hold ourselves accountable to so that we could ensure that we're still making good on our brand promise, that we are going to deliver a high-quality product that is rid of duplicates, noisy things that are not POIs, while we continue to build out this evolving scope. So we're a bit out of time, so I'll skip ahead to what these two heuristics are. So the first is what we call recall. This one's a little bit easier to interpret. It means, do you have all of the places that you claim to have? Sounds pretty simple. And the easy way to do this is we could just trust that all of the sources that we use to build our product, they are 100% accurate, and the nuances of them flow through the heuristics of our build process perfectly, and the output is exactly what the customer asked for. But we know it's not a perfect world, and most data sources don't really care about the raw information that they put out there for the utility of a data company to turn that into a product, right? So what we learned is we actually had to source data about our own data to tell us whether or not we were meeting the requirements of the coverage we promised to give. So for example, there's lots of government-maintained business registries and licenses databases that provide the total counts of particular categories of businesses. There are quarterly released financial reports from publicly traded businesses that say, here's how many stores we have in this region, here's how many open and closed. So now anytime we bite off a new slice of data for a customer, we're actually also sourcing some metadata about the data that we build to ensure that we're doing it appropriately. The second heuristic that we now measure ourselves on internally is what we call precision. And so this basically means, is the places that you're building actually the places that they are in the real world? So again, sources are certainly not perfect, and the further that you stray from the mainstream traditional types of places like a Starbucks or an Aldi, the murkier that information becomes. It could be riddled with duplicates. There could be very strange metadata attached to each record. I've actually seen some reviews for a shoe store that had the word hot dog thrown all over it. That's going to force us to falsely categorize that POI. And we have to think about the cost of a false positive or a false negative record to our customers like Clear Channel, because their end users, they could start to lose a little bit of confidence in the product that then Clear Channel is serving to them. It's not a good look for all parties. So now, anytime we're also biting off a new slice of data, we actually do the very unsexy exercise of building a sample truth set in a given region. So we'll actually hand review every single record that we build and make sure that it checks out with some of the sources about our sources, saying, okay, is this the expected coverage in this area? Are we inferring the right attributes? And if we don't meet a particular threshold, we will not send it through the sophistication of our broader data pipeline to do that at scale. So this is something that we do literally every day now, and we also have to do it all the time. In the short, well, I was gonna say the short time we've been speaking, but we've been up here for about 12 minutes now. Roughly 42 POIs have opened in London and another 38 or so have closed. So we release our product monthly. That means that it is literally immediately stale the second we deliver it. But we can do as much as we can to ensure that the release that goes out to our customers each month is as close to real-time accuracy as possible. And this just goes to show that we can't really let our foot off the gas. And these sort of protocols are things that we must do every day when we build our product. So, do we know about all of the places that exist in the world today that our customers could care about? No, absolutely not. Are we better and are we more sophisticated in the way that we measure ourselves in building out those places than we were, say, a year ago? Yes, absolutely. And next month or next quarter, based on the demands of the market, are we going to expand the definition of what we view as a place? Yes, that will inevitably happen. I know we're over time, so we might have time for a few questions. If not, you can catch Aaron and I at lunch. And if there is a thing in the world today that is not a place based on our definition, definitely let us know, and we'll see what we can do to turn it into a usable data product. Thank you.